Broadcasting from Hollywood, California, it's Grant's Rants Hollywood Talk.
The Beverly Hills Housewives celebrate Camille Grammer's wedding. Lisa Vanderpump is a no-show. Britney Spears becomes the highest-paid Vegas entertainer. Erin Martin calls in to convince me to watch 90 Day Fiancé. And for some reason, Cats is being remade into a movie. That and more with Anthony Lario. Let the ranting begin. I am joined by Anthony Lario, host of Tony's Tea Corner podcast and a fan of the rants. We're lucky to have him. Welcome to the show.
Ooh, I'm so excited. This is my second time on Grant's Rants, and I'm looking forward to it.
You called in a couple episodes previous, and what were we discussing? Something Housewives, right?
Oh, of course, the Real Housewives of New Jersey. What else?
Oh, right, New Jersey. We were analyzing the trailer. Yes, that's correct.
Yes.
Well,
an in-depth analysis.
I'm glad to have you here. You know, like, life has a series of ups and downs, and I'm kind of like, nothing terrible has happened, but I'm not in a great, space. So I really am, counting on the show today to hopefully bring me up the way it has others. And, I'm just glad that I can take, a little bit about under an hour with you and just kind of chat and just find the entertainment value in all of this nonsense and just have some fun. So,
of course, that's what I call I call it catharsis. Yeah. That's the thing on my show. It's so you get all that negative energy out and just ranting.
Yeah.
And you get it all out in that way.
And I hope that if anyone else listening to this is having a tough week, that they can get some joy out of this as well, as many of you have, and many of you have written to me, and I really appreciate that, and that's what keeps me going. That being said, let's get right into it. Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. My girl Camille, she got married this weekend. She looks great. She's my number one. I love her. I say it all the time. I have a picture of her and me at my house, and there's 3 pictures in my house. So it says something right there. I have priorities. I got Britney, Lindsay, Paris, Camille, and then fourth, my family.
That's amazing. I really appreciate your love for Camille, and I think that Bravo is going to appreciate their love for Camille this season, because I'm having this weird feeling that they're going to end up making her full time this season coming up, even though nothing's really been announced, but she's been filming it a ton, and it sounds like LVP is on the out, so I'm hoping they make her full time.
Well, we saw Camille get divorced on the show, and now we're seeing her get married. So I'm hoping that is the case. I mean, what more do you have to really bring to the table? And she's smart, because it looks like she put Kyle as one of her maids of honor. I don't know if that's true, but I'm looking at the pictures, and that was the only one with the headpiece on. So she'd be smart. She's putting someone from the cast, at this point, the longest running housewife. Because I'm not even let me just say, if you don't know by now, you will soon. Me and Lisa Vanderpump, it's not a thing. I don't enjoy her. We're going to talk about it. There's a lot of stuff. But I want to mention this wedding. Rinna, Dorit, Kyle, and Teddy were all in attendance. And no LVP. So I can't say I'm surprised at this point. How do you feel about this gaggle of housewives?
I'm into it. I'm into, of course, minus Lisa Vanderpump. I think that we should just give her own kind of thing. I know that you're not too into her, but I like the gaggle of housewives. I'm not sure how I'm feeling about Denise Richards in the mix. I think that it's awesome. It's a cool name, but I think minus Denise, minus LVP, all the ones that are left over, including Camille, I think should all be full time, and that should be the future of the longevity for the Housewives of Beverly Hills.
Yeah, I saw somewhere on Twitter that without Lisa Vanderpump, it's the Housewives of Beverly Hills will be just like OC, and it will lack that allure and that wealth. But I don't really think so. And no. I don't like to put anything on anyone in particular that it's their show. And I said the same thing about Teresa in New Jersey. I'm an equal opportunity hater, and I don't hate Teresa, but I'm just saying, I them thinking this is supposed to be an ensemble show. The other women, they've been bringing it. I think Lisa Rinna is great for the show. I don't think it would turn into OC. So I think we can let go.
No, neither do I think that they're totally different personality types. They're completely different types of people.
Yeah.
And I also think that, it kind of has a shtick now. like OC had their thing with, because they're the original Housewives series. So I feel like they'll always kind of have that undertone there. And Beverly Hills kind of has their thing now. It's kind of soap operas from another life, old actresses, and kind of this old Beverly Hills kind of wealth thing. And I think that even if Lisa Vanderpump wasn't there, it wouldn't make a huge difference. I don't find her essential to the series like I do with Teresa for Jersey.
Well, she views herself as very essential, except now she's, apparently caught in a lie, and Us Weekly put out a list. And it's like, basically, like, here's what we know about the upcoming season 9. Here's what we know so far. And it said, like you mentioned, Janice Richards joined. Again, if I've said it once, I'll say it again. I'm fine with her if she's worth the money they're paying her, but so far she seems to be everyone's friend. So Lisa Vanderpump, she's caught in a lie. That's what's been out there. That's the common line, that she's in caught in a line, that she's not speaking with the cast. So there's a whole thing. It's confusing, a back and forth about who's not speaking to who. And apparently the cast reached out to her and she's been unresponsive. And then she says that no one's bothered with her, and so she's not filming with anybody. There's a ton of rumors. We've seen a little bit online that she won't take group shots with the ladies. We saw Rinna and the other one, Erica Jane, in the dressing room, alleging that someone was holding up production. And, let me just say this real quick. Lisa Vanderpump, she's holding up this gallery shoot. We can only assume it's the gallery shoot, the cast photo, I assume.
Yeah.
So this is what really pisses me off as a producer, because I work with talent day to day. And there are strict schedules put into place. And not only are there schedules, but you pay for time. Time literally is money when you're out and about at a photo studio and you've got a photographer for a certain amount of time and you're paying for a space and you've got a staff and crew there working on this. This is their job for the day. So with someone holding up production like that, they sitting pouting with their arms crossed in a dressing room, that's what I have to deal with. Not all the time, but I don't respect that, is what I'm saying with Lisa Vanderpump. Like, you got to be a team player. I don't know who the hell she thinks she is, but you got to be a team player at these things. And I don't appreciate it. From just trying to do my job, I wouldn't want to have to put up with that. Like, I would have contempt. I would. Yeah,
I think that sounds extremely unprofessional on her part. I know that you had your friend on the show who was a stylist and worked with Lisa Vanderpump, and she was picking up for Lisa, and I appreciated hearing her perspective. And,
I was cool with that. Yeah, no, I was cool. She knows her better than I do, which is totally fine, and I like different perspectives. But for me, just from what these are rumors, but I'm not into it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm curious as to whether it's true or not, because I'm seeing all these headlines just like you did. Lisa Vanderpump caught in a lie, and I'm not really sure what the actual lie is. I'm not sure what they're fighting about, and that's something that they're probably saving for this season. So
they are saving it, but I did a little digging, and across the internet, across the interwebs, it seems that there's a dog that Dorit adopted from Vanderpump Dogs that was misbehaving, and that one story says she returned the dog to Lisa, and Lisa sent it to a shelter, but that doesn't sound right. So to me, it sounds like she adopted the dog. This makes the most sense to me, this version. She adopted the dog. The dog supposedly bit or misbehaved around with one of her kids, so she gave the dog to somebody else, and that person then put it in a general shelter. And so Lisa Vanderpump is upset that it wasn't returned to her. The dog wasn't returned to Vanderpump Dogs. And so, but there's something about planting stories, Radar Online, which, flashback to Adrian, she called that out years ago about Lisa Vanderpump, and I believe it.
I believe it. And also, just on a side note, I'm sick of these freaking dogs, okay? They might as well make a spinoff called The Real Dogs of Beverly Hills, because there's been way too many dog storylines, way too many dog undertones, and I think we need to get rid of it. And if we get rid of Lisa Vanderpump, maybe the dogs will go away too. I don't watch TV so I could see people fight about dogs, and it happens way too much on this show. And now I feel like they're recycling storylines with the planning of the stories in Radar Online. I mean, it almost seems like bad plugging for Radar Online. I can't even explain it.
My take on the whole thing is I don't really care about the dogs either. I think it's all right because with the whole Vanderpump Dogs, at least it's serving a purpose of good. But as far as this Radar Online situation, it wouldn't surprise me at all. I think that we're onto something with her. And, this has been a problem they've had with her in the past. And I wouldn't be surprised if, just knowing how this business runs out here with everyone being very well connected, I'm sure she has friends at Radar Online that she wanted to, perhaps give a favor to. They probably put up a good write-up for her with one of her projects. And, that's the thing. There are a lot with these housewives I've noticed, and I don't want to become one. There are a lot of I don't mean a housewife, I just mean like a lot of hanger-ons of people out here who follow them around and try to, be their assistant and work for them. And I'm sure there's someone, an upcoming journalist in the press, who she's befriended and gave some type of intel to. I wouldn't be surprised. I see it all the time. So
yeah, 100%. We were talking about that recently. We see these people on Instagram. If you look at the Housewives tagged photos, there's tons of hanger-oners. They're like a posse or an entourage. And it seems like, I think it's good to have connections with them because, even though they were once just housewives, now they're real housewives and they have connections and all that's good stuff. But once you get kind of involved in the drama and you're too much in there, it seems like it can become a little bit sickening. And I totally agree with you. Becoming one of those hanger-ons sounds like a whole day job in itself.
Yeah, I'm not interested in doing that at all.
Yeah.
Well, from those bitches in Beverly Hills over to Vegas, Britney Spears, a new residency has been announced. I've always having to discuss them, the trio of Britney, Lindsay, and Paris. So of course, Britney, just like literally just winning at everything. She's going to be making $507,000 per show. Shout out to Good Morning America, like their pop culture Laura Spencer segment. They did a terrible job at promoting this and talking about this. I don't know what they're doing over there. They've got what is this Good Morning America audience? There's just like a bunch of street people sitting around at bistro tables. I don't understand what they're doing on that show. Like they've got like 8 panelists. I never see them deliver the news.
It's completely outdated too. It's a completely outdated kind of shtick and thing. I totally agree with you there.
I don't get it. But anyway, I was very distracted. And they sent somebody to put like hip music, like something that's like poppy, like underneath, like when she was going to the stories. And of course they were playing Baby One More Time too, which I was like, really? Like I know it's the whole 20th anniversary thing, but like, the girl's put out 9 albums. Let's go.
Yeah, and Britney hates that song.
She does.
Do the research. She doesn't even like performing with that song. So
and it's unfortunate because I love that.
Well, me too. 100%.
But anyway, she's now the highest paid female entertainer, or I think entertainer in Vegas. She eclipsed Celine, so that's pretty big. And they said like basically the math is that she sells out shows, and like good for her. Good for her.
That's the thing with Britney. She could get up there and hop on one leg with an eye patch on, and I would still pay to go see her. She is completely iconic. I got goosebumps the first time I saw her in Vegas. And of course, there's all this stuff about there. She can't dance like she did. She lip syncs. Who the freak cares? I don't care.
It's to be expected. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to be in the presence of the legendary Miss Britney Spears. That's it.
I almost got in like a physical fight because I was talking with somebody and they were talking about how they were so disappointed they almost walked out. And I was like, oh my God, like, are you kidding me? Like, what are you going and expecting? Like an orchestra? Like, what do you want from there? Like, what I mean?
Are you expecting her to do like major triads and scales on the piano like freaking Julie Andrews from The Sound of Music? No. We're expecting to see Britney. Come on.
As far as Britney goes, according to this terrible Good Morning America segment, she's going to be working 40 weeks on, and that's basically pre-tax. She'll be making $160 million in 1 year on the show. And I'm like, good for her. Good for her.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. And she deserves every freaking penny from how much that she's worked her entire life. She just works her freaking butt off, and I'm proud of her.
For whatever reason, she's got like this real close relationship with Ellen. And so Ellen did this like live stream of this announcement. I don't know who the hell they had hosting that. Someone really obnoxious.
I know.
It was like 28 minutes. She didn't say anything. Britney arrived. She popped up out of the earth or whatever and walked down a flight of stairs. And that was the end of it. And I was fine with it.
I thought that it was cool. I didn't expect anything more from her. I didn't expect anything less. I figured that it would be like this. And I just thought it was fabulous because she knows her worth. She knows that all she has to do is show up and people are still going to buy a ticket to go see her. And that's the whole thing with Britney, is that literally not to create a pun and name one of her songs, but what you see is what you get with her. Yeah. And we all know it by now. And anybody who's surprised obviously isn't a real Britney fan and obviously hasn't done the research on her. And it shocks me because the whole quote unquote Britney army is really upset about this announcement. They were expecting an album. They were expecting this or that. Like, I think that everybody with her, you just got to lower your expectations and understand that she's an icon. She's a legend, and just let her do her thing. It always ends up working out.
Yeah. And you don't have to go to the show if you don't think that she's worth seeing. So
exactly. Exactly. 110%.
I love this. She has this lawyer. His name is Andrew Wallet.
Okay.
And this guy, Wallet, wants more money. He says that, he's made her a lot of money over the years and that he wants an upgrade to make $426,000 per year. Again, she's making in one performance $507,000 in a show. So this doesn't even cover how much she would make just to walk across the stage once. So sure, just pay him. Just pay him.
Yeah, I agree.
And he said that he rebuilt her basically, and that when her estate was nearly out of funds when he came on 10 years ago, and that her world was in total chaos, and like he personally intervened. So he really has a lot to do with like the reemergence of Britney and this brand and her worth. Literally, I mean, she's like now the highest paid woman in Vegas, as I said. So like, give this man his money. Absolutely. It's hard to have a good team around you. And, he hasn't pulled like a Simon or Sam Lufty situation. Like, he hasn't done anything. So like, just give him his money. I'm all for it.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And the only thing that keeps me from full-heartedly being like, yeah, just hand him over the check is I wonder how many people she has on her payroll. I wonder how much she is actually keeping from that, whatever, 500,000 plus amount, because I feel like she's another person. She's got so many hanger-oners. She's got so many clingers. And I don't know who controls that. I mean, we've heard stories about how people control what she orders in hotel rooms and what she gets at restaurants. But I'm always curious to be a fly on the wall wherever she is. Who's clinging on to her and what's good for her? I mean, it freaks me out.
Kevin, the ex-husband, just got an increase in child support, and they were talking about how he was out the week after he got the check looking at boats for himself. So, I mean...
that makes me so grossed out. I'm telling you.
Allegedly, but I mean,
No, I totally
So they say.
It.
So they say.
I totally believe it. And, we were such Britney fans over here. And actually, my mom wrote a letter to Britney Spears when I was in 7th grade, 2007.
I love your mother. I love her. So she pen a note? Like she sat down and just like gave her some advice? I like that.
Yeah, sat down because my mom had this whole theory that she was having really horrible postpartum depression. And she was like, how come nobody's talking about this? She's obviously having postpartum and nobody's taking care of it. And so she sat down with her pen and paper and wrote her a letter and sent it in the mail. And we never heard back, obviously. But
well, she's earning some good karma points because her heart was in the right place.
Yes, 100%. And I just feel like with Britney, like, you grew up with her. She's part of, the aesthetic of our lives. And that freaking Kevin Federline, I'm telling you, makes me so disgusted. It makes me very angry. He's another one that's not verified on Instagram. And he shouldn't be.
Oh, never. Good. Yeah, no. Yeah. Good. Well... From one thing to the next, what's coming up is this 90-Day Fiancé. We have a lot to discuss, and I would be remiss if I didn't bring in Erin Martin. Erin and I talked on the phone previously, and we have taken a look and predicted about what's coming up in this season. She really is an expert. So if we're going to get into the season, we've got to talk to Erin. So join our conversation. Season 6 of 90 Day Fiancé is going to be premiering this weekend, the 21st of October, so it's already been out as you're listening to this. And they will be introducing 6 new couples to this dysfunctional world. And who better to break it down and convince me that I should be watching than podcaster Erin Martin. Hello, Erin.
Hey, Grant. I'm here to preach the good word of 90 Day Fiancé.
I'm laughing because I've heard you on Michelle Collins. I've heard you on your own show saying you're going to go door to door. And here you are. Here you have the audience.
I'm at your door. I'm at
ready.
Your door, baby.
I want to hear about it because, look, I did watch. The only thing I watched, honestly, was the most recent season of Happily Ever After ? Rings.
There's so many different versions of 90 Day Fiancé. It's a TLC show that all started with the original 90 Day Fiancé, which is based on the K-1 visa process, where a foreigner has 90 days to marry an American who the American sponsors, or if they do not get married in those 3 months, the foreigner has to go back to their home country. So that's the original concept. Then there came Happily Ever After, which tracked the couples who did get married on this K-1 visa process after their wedding.
Yeah, I like that one. Yeah.
That was a really good season this year. That was a really good season of Happily Ever After. That can be hit and miss. But of course, I watch them all. I mean, it's like picking a favorite child, really. I mean, I love them all. So, and then there's Before the 90 Days, which just ended last week. And that is when the American goes over to another country and actually decides if they're even going to propose to this person. So that's even before deciding to start the K-1 visa process to bring them over.
Got it. I follow it through your Facebook group. I know who the players are. I mean, like, you've got it covered. What is the name of the Facebook group so people can join? I want to make sure we get it correct.
Oh, thank you. Yes. If you go to Facebook and you just type in Pink Shade with Erin Martin, the whole name, Pink Shade with Erin Martin, you'll find us and you can just send me a request. And I pretty much let you in if you look like a normal person, not a robot account, you know, so there's no hard questions to answer. It's a really fun group. There's no trolling or anything, you know, they get kicked out. So we have a ball with 90 Day. We talk Housewives, 90 Day, true crime, cults, everything.
So you also write for Reality Tea, and you put out this teaser article. You broke down the 6 couples that are coming to our screens. You know, convince me. Why should I be watching this season of 90 Day Fiancé, the original?
Okay, well, I have one thing to tell you, Grant. There is a man who dresses up his cats in costume this season.
How old is this man? I mean, does it matter? I mean,
he's an adult. Doesn't matter. Doesn't really matter. I mean, I would be concerned if my own child was doing this, but this is a grown man who lives with his mother in Las Vegas. His name is Colt. He is 33 years old, and it's okay. He feeds his cats from mouth to mouth. Like he puts a treat in his mouth and he gives it to the cat and he dresses them up in costume. And he is bringing over on this K-1 visa, this girl, Larissa, woman. She's like 30 some years old too. She is from, I believe, Brazil, and she is feisty. And I feel like, now, I don't know if you'll know this reference, but this to me feels like Anfisa 2.0, but with more of a personality.
Oh, I get it. Oh, Anfisa, I'm familiar with her.
You know Anfisa. Okay.
I went way back. I followed the whole journey. Oh, yeah. I have an idea of who you're referring to exactly, the type of personality we're dealing with here.
Yes, like she is making no bones about the fact that she is just in this to get to America. I mean, you see in the preview clips, TLC released some where she was like, what were you going to say? Sorry, Grant.
No, I was just saying, I love that. Like, I love when they come with a very clear agenda.
Totally clear agenda. Like, she has no false pretenses. She's like, did you buy my ticket? And he's like, well, I didn't want to pay a $2,000 ticket change just because you didn't get your visa. And she's like, what? You're American. Just buy it. I mean, she's like, hardcore.
Okay,
and
I'm in for this one.
She's moving in with Colt, the cat dresser upper, and his mom, who has been making him breakfast for 33 years and eating breakfast with him for 33 years. So, I mean, I am so 2 feet in just to see this couple. And the other ones look great too. I mean, we can go down the list if you want to hit on some highlights, but this Colt dude is like, it's Napoleon Dynamite's brother. He's one to watch.
The one that did stick out to me, though, was this Ashley and Jay. She's 31, Jay's 20. And you put in the article, I love this quote. She claims that if Jesus came down from heaven and told her that Jay cheated on her, she wouldn't care. Well,
quote, and she quotes. Yes, she's quoted as saying that. She is like so out of left field.
What could go wrong there?
What could go wrong? And he also, he's 20 years old. He met her on vacation, but get this, she was at this wedding, a destination wedding. Many of us have been to them on one of these Jamaican all-inclusive resorts, I'm sure. And he worked there. This is a tale as old as time for 90 Day as an institution also. Like those of us who have been in this universe for a while, there's always some dude that somebody has met at an all-inclusive resort. Always. So this is the one this season. But this Jay guy didn't really hook up with her in a serious way. He kind of trolled her when she got back home. So he like reached out to her on social media, really wooed her that way. She's also a mom of 2. So this already is setting us up to be like, no, girl, don't do it. Don't go into the basement. The murderer's down there, because she has these 2 little children. It's kind of like a Molly and Louise situation.
It sounds just like it. Yeah.
Yeah, except this guy's even younger. He's 20.
Oof. I hate when the kids get involved, like that Nicole and Asin situation.
I can't with Nicole. I know.
I listen to your show, so I know how you feel about her and about the poor daughter and Robily and.
Oh, I can't. Nicole, I seriously, you just want to reach out and wring her neck.
I know.
Everyone starts caring a lot about these children. And I don't want to call anyone out on being a bad mom. I don't know them personally or a bad parent, but the way that they spin the show, we end up really hating these people as parents because of the decisions they make. So here's what I'm hoping selfishly as a viewer. I'm hoping they don't drag the kids into this too much. I hope it's just Ashley and Jay being like messy weirdos for the most part on the show.
Yeah, I hope so.
And I know that's just like a selfish thing to say because this is their real life, but I just don't want to see. I don't know if my heart can take it anymore with these kids.
I love how invested you are. You've appeared on the after show that they did. I mean, you're so in. So when you get a list like this of 6 couples, is it like a gift? How fast do you read it? Like when you get this type of intel, like I can only imagine you must like throw yourself into it. I mean, this is just like Christmas morning for you.
Oh, it's like right now it's premiering. I mean, we're recording this as it's premiering, and I did, get to see quite a bit of it. It was already out on TLC's app, and so you could see pretty much the first 40 minutes. And I mean, as soon as that was ready to go, I was clicking on that. I mean, I was like, show me everything. I watched the extended versions afterwards.
Oh,
I watched the getting ready for I know. This is like an altar call right now, guys. So you have to really be committed to the 90-Day Fiancé universe. You have to turn your will and your soul over to it because it's 2 hours every Sunday, which is a commitment. It's a long show. But here's the thing. There's so much fun sleuthing you can do behind the scenes because these people are way messier than like, say, the more curated housewives out there. They spill things. They interact with their fans. And when I say fans, I mean like people watching it who are being haters, basically, like me included. But the great thing about it, too, is as a huge Housewives fan, both you and I, we've been Housewives fans forever. Here's the deal with being a 90-Day fan. You have a lot of fun no matter what people's opinions are, because you know how everyone can get kind of territorial, not everyone, but many people can get territorial with like their favorite housewife, or like you say something about LVP, all the LVP stands come after you.
Yeah. Yeah, I just did.
I know, right? So you get it. And that can be fun in its own way, but it can also get kind of intense and scary and serious. And I don't like that because it's reality TV. I'm just like, let's have fun, guys. And I feel like 90 Day is one where, I mean, I'll put a live feed up for 90 Day Fiancé like tonight. And I know this isn't airing tonight, but this is Sunday night when we're talking. And there'll be like 700 comments on it. And everybody is just having fun. Like they're just dying laughing, losing it. Like even if one person thinks this guy's a serial killer and another one doesn't, we're all still laughing about the fact that we think he's a serial killer. We're not like
right
fighting about teams. And so that I gotta say, that's why I think it's worth getting into as an addition to our beloved Bravo franchises, because I would never give those up. I would never give them up.
No, but I do like to see how another production company goes about producing a reality show around real people. And it seems like this one's a lot less buttoned up and less glossy. And I like the real. And I remember you saying this to me almost at the beginning of this year is like, if you like looking in on people's lives, like you'll love this because it's just like, it's warts and all, like it's everything, and they're not editing themselves the way the Housewives do. So
yeah, they don't really, they're in interviews with producers and they're just answering questions that are going to really bite them in the ass later, and it's great. It's great. Yeah. It's like early OC. You're like, oh, this is amazing.
All right, I'm in. I'll be watching it on TLC. Yay. It's called 90 Day Fiancé, kids. If you're interested, let me know if Erin convinced you. Let us know. We're on Twitter. Where can we find you, Erin?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Erin Leah Martin, and you can find my podcast on any platform, iTunes, etc. Pink Shade with Erin Martin, and my new Cults podcast, Cult Talk with Erin Martin. If you're interested in cults, is coming out on Halloween Day on every platform, and it'll be starting with interviews with my mother, who was in a cult, the cult in which I was born.
Wow, I'll be listening because I love all that stuff, and I can't wait for this Scientology show to come back. And the we'll have to talk because the whole thing that they're doing, the tie-in with Jehovah's Witness, like I'm so into this. So we'll have to
Grant,
talk.
you and I, we're on it. Okay, we're on it definitely. We'll be like, I'm like the Jehovah's Witness of 90 Day, but then we'll actually talk about that on a separate podcast.
Yeah,
too.
perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you, Erin. I appreciate you, and we'll talk soon.
Sounds great.
You're listening to Grant's Rants. Subscribe and spread the word. There are a lot more rants to come. Listen anytime on all major podcasting platforms. And now, back to the show.
And we're back ranting with podcaster Anthony Lario. He's back.
Here I am.
Now, we go back and forth on this show. When I pitch topics, I try to get, things from the guests to see what we can kind of find common ground on. One thing I didn't know, and again, I'm always learning really insightful things on this show, that Cats, the musical, is coming to a theater near you at some point. And it's going to be made into a film. Now, I grew up where my mom would not only dislike cats, she would literally scream about how much she hated cats. Not like the animal, like the musical. Like she hates the musical. Like it's like not even an option. So I can tell you right now that Chris Rudder won't be going to watch Cats, the film, the musical, the teleplay, the commercial. So,
I'm telling you, Cats is so polarizing. I mean, I never thought I'd be having this conversation. I feel like I'm talking about Donald Trump. Cats is such a polarizing topic. I mean, I know people who love musicals who stand by their statement that Cats is the essential, root of all musical theater. Andrew Lloyd Webber was a genius. And then I know some people who absolutely despise Cats. Now, I fall into the category that I love Cats. I think it's because I had that little VHS tape. I played it my entire life growing up. My mom says that I used to run around in my diaper with a freaking string of garland in my diaper pretending I was a cat from Cats. So I'm a cat stan, as the kids say these days. Stan.
Yeah, you love it. You're like, it was part of your life. So now this movie is going to be directed by Tom Hooper, right?
Yes.
And and so he's a former Les Mis. He's the former Les Mis director. Obviously, like that film did like hugely well and it was nominated for everything and made like billions or something like that. Like it was ridiculous. So, I think they could trust him with this Cats, whether you're into it or not. So IndieWire put out a breakdown of 6 A-list talent that have already signed on to the project. And, let's go through the list, see what we feel. First, sure. Jennifer Hudson. She's clearly a favorite. She has an incredible voice. I don't see why she couldn't pull off something like Cats.
I agree. And the character that she's playing sings the main song of the entire show, the power ballad Memory, which is a Barbra Streisand covered it, Elaine Page. I mean, it's a huge song, Memory. It's a staple of musical theater. The only thing that I have with Jennifer Hudson playing this part is that the part is supposed to be portrayed by somebody who's old. Like, when I say old, like maybe 70 or above.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but typically in the musical, they get a younger actress. Nicole Scherzinger played her on the West End stint of the show, and then I'm blanking out on somebody else who played her. Oh, the girl who sings Bleeding Love, Leona Lewis played her. And I was thinking that for the film, they would get somebody like Jessica Lange or Meryl Streep. She's supposed to be like an old queen who used to be really popular back in the day. And mind you, we're talking about Cats. So she was a popular, famous cat, and now she's old and washed up hag. But the song needs to be sung with a good timbre and good vocal quality. So Jennifer Hudson she has musical theater experience. She won an Oscar for a musical theater performance in a film. So she's a good choice.
Yeah, I mean, I think she is. I didn't know that about the character. I mean, it seems to me they're already making a mistake by not putting someone that's age appropriate. But they got to Hollywoodify the whole thing. So whatever. Now Idris Elba, he's an actor, but he is known for having a former R&B career in London. So he has, I guess, some musical background. That's good. That's fine.
He's going to be good. He's playing like the villain. McCavity. He's going to be awesome. Yeah.
This Dame Judi Dench, she's playing someone named Deuteronomy. Who are these people? What are these names?
Wow. Okay, that's like freaking me out because Deuteronomy. We're like talking about the freaking Bible here. Deuteronomy. But,
I know, that's what I mean. It's like, what is this musical?
No, yeah, Deuteronomy is like the main cat, but it's typically played by a man. So I don't know why Judi Dench is playing.
Oh, this is all over the place. I mean, I barely keep track.
I feel like we might be being trolled here. What if it comes out in a couple of months that this was all just a giant joke? Because that's what it's kind of sounding like, something very tongue-in-cheek. But, I mean, if I were casting it, I would say Dame Judi Dench should be playing Jennifer Hudson's part, but that's just...
Yeah, hey, maybe this article at IndieWire maybe they crossed their wires. Maybe they're wrong.
Yeah, you might be right.
Taylor Swift, they wrote that they're very concerned about Taylor and that they had her do an in-person audition because they're worried about her dancing ability. Notoriously not exactly a powerful dancer, and they say that the show is very dance-heavy. So, is it a vanity cast or what? Like, why bother? If the girl can't deliver and sing and dance like so many others, don't put her in the show.
Yeah, it's kind of like what they did with Les Mis with, Anne Hathaway. People had these, problems with her once the casting was announced, saying, why don't we get somebody from Broadway to play the part? Why don't we get somebody with actual vocal ability? But, she killed it. So we never know. And also Taylor Swift has history with this director. She previously auditioned for Les Mis for Eponine. So she must be familiar with the producers and they must have faith in her. Mm-hmm. I think that she'll be fantastic. It's not really like dance based, I want to say. It's more like movement, like emotion into movement. It's not like any crazy turns, spins, jumps. It's a very weird musical, and I'm wondering how it's going to be put into film a la Les Mis style.
Yeah, I don't know. The humans dressed as cats. I don't know. There's only so much I can believe.
It reminds me of like those furry conventions. Those like weird subculture people who dress up like furries. That's what it's kind of like.
Yeah, it's not my thing. I think it's it used to scare me as a kid to watch the commercials, when they did the traveling tour. It's like, ooh. Yeah. But anyway, James Corden, Ian McKellen, those are two other people attached. As my suggestion, I just got done watching The Greatest Showman, and I really like that Michelle Williams, and I think she has a fantastic voice, and I think she should be in this. I don't know the musical really at all, but find some way to put her in there because I think she's underrated, and I'd like to see her versus Taylor Swift.
Yeah, Michelle Williams is fantastic. I think that she's always been kind of underrated. She's got a gorgeous face. She's got a gorgeous voice. She's a fantastic actress. I think she was Oscar nominated for that My Week with Marilyn. And, I could totally see her playing a Taylor Swift type role in Cats. But then again, Taylor's been doing a lot of vocal training. She sounds better than she's ever sounded. And part of me thinks that this might be like a PR thing too, because, she and her whole fan base, they love actual cats, like the animal cats. So I feel like she just posts one Instagram that movie's going to be knockout in the box office. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's helpful for marketing and numbers, But, I struggle because I'm like, if you're going to go through all this, do it right, put it in the right people. Don't worry about stunt casting. But we know that's not how things are run. We know that doesn't mean anything.
No, it means absolutely nothing. It's name first, talent second. Okay.
That's the truth.
You want to hear something absolutely nuts?
Yes.
We touched on her earlier in the show. So I have a good friend who is currently on Broadway. I'm not going to give away his name because this is some inside scoop. But apparently Britney is in talks to join the cast of Cats.
I don't see that happening.
No, I know.
I want it to happen. I mean, absolutely. If you want me to see it, I will go for that. That's about it.
I would totally go. I mean, I would give an arm and a leg to see Britney Spears dressed like a cat, singing and dancing next to Jennifer Hudson. Mind you, live singing next to Jennifer Hudson.
I'm literally laughing, and I love Britney to death, but yeah.
I can't picture her taking it seriously. I mean, with all her Instagram videos and the Snapchat filters, I can picture with her little hands up next to her face pretending to be a cat. I mean,
Is there a non-singing role? Like when I was in musical theater, I always took on the role that had like no singing. Like I was like the rabbi and Fiddler on the Roof. Like I took on like the bare minimum singing roles. Like is there one that they can throw to Britney where she walks on and walks off or something?
Kind of. And they almost did that with her in Chicago. The movie movie Chicago, she was originally casted as Kitty Baxter, who the role was given to. Oh, who's the one from
Lucy
Charlie's
Liu.
Angels?
No
Lucy
way.
Liu.
I know Chicago inside, upside down, backwards, forwards. Like, I know that movie was like instrumental in my like just getting involved in this business and creating. I did not know this. Like, you're like shattering this for me. Like, Britney was considered for that movie, and well, not only was she considered for Kitty Baxter, she was considered for Roxy Hart. Oh,
and
wow.
Yeah, but I could have seen
I would have died if that would have been it for me.
Yeah, it would have been all over. No cats would even be cease to exist at that point.
Oh,
but
my God. I have to
the
keep
jury
watching
is out on cats.
Yeah.
It's out.
This is odd timing for me too. Like, why now? But anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's talk with. First of all, I just want to talk because I love that you have this alter ego of Uncle Tony. It's very like Aunt Wendy. Like, I don't know if you're into Wendy Williams, but like very approachable. I feel like, you're going to get like some kitchen table talk. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, I appreciate that you like that. It kind of happened super randomly. I mean, it was actually a drunk persona at first when I would have a couple of glasses of red wine. First of all, my friends think I'm an absolute sociopath because when I'm pre-gaming to go out, I drink red wine, nothing else. No vodka, no shots, nothing. Just red wine. So they're like, what are you doing over there, Uncle Tony, drinking your red wine? What's going on? And I'd be like, come sit next to me. Let's talk. What's going on? So that kind of became like my shtick was Uncle Tony.
I like it. It's very East Coast.
Oh, 100%.
Red wine, yeah.
Very Jersey.
Yes. So this persona has kind of, taken you into this podcast. I just saw the new cover art for your show. Again, Tony's Tea Corner is the name of the podcast. I like the new cover art.
Thank you so much. I did an interview over at Q102 and iHeartRadio, and, I have some friends over in that area, and we did a photo shoot, and I kind of wanted it to be, poppy, I guess like a version of, like Bitmojis, how you can send them over your phone. I wanted it to be cartoonish, but also real. And I think that's kind of the line that Uncle Tony rides, is this line between cartoonish and a real kind of person that you would find in your everyday life. Maybe you have an uncle that's like Uncle Tony. Maybe your mom is Uncle Tony. Just somebody who you can feel comfortable sitting down and spilling the tea with and talking, but in the back of your mind that they might go run and tell somebody else. So just kind of that whole thing.
Oh, I know all about that. Yeah. It's nice. It's nice to see like your podcast come together and find its voice, and it's already evolving. So that's a good thing.
I appreciate it.
We have a mutual friend just through the interwebs, really, comedian Heather McMahon, and I love her. She's been on the show even recently. I think she was in episode 102. A friend of mine at work was saying like, it was ridiculous, but she was there like delivering the facts and the news, and I liked it. And I was like, that's how Heather is. Like, she'll give it to you straight, but like she'll make you laugh.
Yeah, I really appreciate her. I think she's super, super, super refreshing. And I know that Heather is an accomplished actress. She's very well trained. She went to school for this. Like, this is what she wants to do, is act and create character pieces in comedy. But the way of the future, or more so the way of right now to do character pieces, is on social media. And she is really digging into that whole kind of genre, and I think she's killing it.
She's really kind of gone all in on this Britney 911.
Yeah, 100%. And when I had Heather on my podcast and just talking to her behind the scenes, what she said that I really think is kind of the whole genesis of it was that she wasn't trying to be critical or come at Britney. She's just like, I'm genuinely concerned. She's a huge Britney fan like us. And she's like, what's going on? Like, I thought that she was doing well. What's going on with the makeup around her eyes? What's going on with all these rumors of, her in Europe and not touching fans? And then all this stuff was coming out on, the blind items and such about her not being able to order food for herself in a hotel. So it was more so like, let's open our eyes and let's be aware of Britney. But I feel like a lot of people on social media have kind of taken it to a different level, which like I'm kind of cringing at a little bit.
Oh, are people being critical of her?
The concern has grown, and not from Heather, mind you, from some of these people. I think that it has gone from concern to a little bit of over criticism and overbearing, like watching on her every move. I don't think that every single thing that she puts on social media is a code or something. And I think, Heather's a comedian. Like, she's being funny. She's like, what is this? What's going on here? And I think that sometimes, like, people might not be seeing the whole tongue-in-cheek aspect of it, if you know what I mean.
Oh, people have no sense of humor. Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally get it. Yeah.
Like, Heather's being totally tongue-in-cheek. Like, she's a comedian. She's hilarious. And I don't know if some people – I mean, I think it's the same thing with Kathy Griffin a little bit. On paper, the words look different than when you actually hear the person saying it. And that's what it's all about, how the person, gesticulates with their hands, how they say it, the way that their eyes move. You can tell when something's tongue-in-cheek or in jest or good humor. Yeah. And I feel like some people just don't have that mindset where they can separate the two.
It's true, especially in comedy. Like, I mean, what can you even say anymore? Like, I have to correct. I have to correct people sometimes when people come for me, and I'm like, look, like, this is my thing. Like, I commentate. Like, I'm not, out to take anyone's job. Like, I have an opinion. You don't have to agree with me, but like, I'm not hating on people. I'm just commentating. Like, that's just like, it's to the point where you can't even have an opinion about like a pop culture news report. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
But I do, yeah, and I'm not gonna stop. The rants are here. 106 episodes of rants.
And Grant, keep doing it. I'm being serious right now. There needs to be more people like that. I was talking to Heather about that too. I think that people like you and Heather and what I'm starting to do, you have to give that kind of blunt, whatever. It's your opinion. It's called commentating. I mean, we're not trying to be like Dorothy Day over here reporting the news.
Exactly.
Like, we're commentating. And I think that, I mean, I know a lot of people give Perez Hilton a lot of flack, and I can see why, but I think that, he might have taken it a little too far at times, but that was his original shtick, like a Joan Rivers type thing. And I think that people need to stop worrying about being so PC and decoding every single word. Like, we're not writing a research paper. We're not doing audience analyses. Like,
right.
let's just take things at face value and laugh, please.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you are doing some reporting, though. You're doing some reporting with former housewives, and I like that your show has taken on this angle of, giving the former housewives a voice to speak about not only their time on the show, but like what's happening currently. And it's like almost like people love that stuff. They love like catching up with the housewives, and I think that's something that's really missing. Except on your podcast, because you're covering it. Though you had on Lizzie recently. How do you pronounce her last name? Real Housewives of Orange County, Lizzie
Rovsek.
Rovsek. Now, she just got through a divorce, right? Is that the one?
Yeah, she just went through a divorce with her husband, Christian. I think that they're still in the process of divorcing.
Who hasn't? Who in Orange County hasn't been through a divorce? I should preface the other way. Like, are they the one couple left that's married or no?
Yeah, like Peggy Salaki, when she came on my show, she said they should just call the show The Real Divorcees of Orange County.
Yeah, it's true. So you had her on the show, and I understand, and I read an article over on Reality Tea, my former stomping grounds, and I know that Lizzie spoke about the trip that she was on during her season, the Bali trip. She talked a little bit about other things on the show. What really stood out to you? What happened?
So here's the thing, is that, first of all, I just got to say that I would dare to say that Lizzie might be my favorite guest that I've ever had on, because she was so unbelievably real, and she wasn't – I can't even really describe it. She just gave off this vibe of such authenticity, and that's, such an overused word, but when placed with the right person, it's extremely accurate, and she was just – through and through authentic. And she never actually, our entire interview, said Tamara's name. She said that the trip in Bali was much worse than it looked. And then she had also said that she was iced out by a housewife, an older housewife who had gone to a showrunner and told the showrunner numerous times to boot Lizzie off of the show, because Lizzie was actually hired full-time for her next season on the show, not friend of. And so it was my mom and I who kept bringing up Tamara's name. And Lizzie actually never said the name Tamara once. And then all this press came out about it, this storm. And Tamara did not take to it too kindly, let's just say.
Well, good for you for catching her attention. I don't know what the hell Tamara's so worried about a former housewife that she may or may not have gotten fired in the past. What difference does it make?
Well, Tamara's threatened by youth. She's threatened by youth. I think she's threatened by freedom of speech of these former housewives and that's really why I want to give them a platform, because it's like 1 minute they're all over your TV screens. You have the ability to comment on all of their Bravo blogs, all of their YouTube videos that Bravo puts out about the current season. And then the next minute they're gone. And all you have left of them is their social media. And so to give them a platform to be able to share what actually happened, I think is good for them. They can get their catharsis. And I think that it threatens the housewives that are still on the show that they now have a voice.
Yeah. I like it. I like it. And I liked her. I actually I enjoyed her in your interview than I did most of her run on the show, because she was authentic. And, it's nice when they can just be themselves or not like edited or have to worry about, they could have never told that storyline about her going to the showrunner and allegedly, making it complicated for Lizzie to be a housewife. But that's the drama that happens on the show, and it's all about, we see it in Atlanta all the time, all the contract drama, but yet we have to pretend it doesn't exist, but yet it fuels entire seasons of story and bias and online trolling, and it's hard to ignore. Again, these shows were supposed to be able to see, these people's lives. I want them to break the fourth wall with going back to Beverly Hills that day at that gallery shoot when that other one supposedly hung up all production. I want to see her side of the story. I want to see what production has to say. That's the real tea and the real juice, and that's what I want to see. And that brings this full circle.
No, I totally 100% agree with you. And I'm really happy that Lizzie told us that from behind the scenes. And it just must have, the fact that she did not even say Tamara's name, the fact that it was Tamara even commented, she basically just outed herself as being the person who iced out Lizzie.
Yeah, really.
She didn't have to comment on it.
She didn't even have to even acknowledge it.
And for her to write it in her Bravo blog this week, now 3 weeks later. It's 3 weeks later. Why is she writing about it in her blog now?
Well, that's good for you. That's awesome. That's awesome that one interview went that far. To make it onto the Bravo blog, that has to go through a lot of people. So good for you.
Yeah, for sure.
Until production companies and networks ease up on protecting the image of talent, we're going to have to kind of keep playing the game of just what we see on our screens. But when that gets tired, and this is what I've been saying about other networks, that when their reality shows dry up, they need to try a different approach. Don't worry so much about protecting these people's images. Let things play out organically, because people can see right through that. And, these housewives get messy, and that's what I want to see. I don't think Bravo, they're doing fine with their housewives. I'm talking about other networks that need to try something new, other cable distant networks, but...
No, I agree.
I won't go too much further on that one.
Yeah, and there's some, former housewives that I've talked to who, after talking, I talked to Kelly Ben-Simone the other day, and hearing her speak to me on the phone, one-on-one, she sounded so articulate and just some of the things she said, of course, were a little bit out there, but the way that she spoke was very normal, very clear. I got nothing crazy, nothing quote unquote bipolar. And halfway through our interview, I'm like, dang, it must have been horrible being painted out as some mental crazy loony bin in front of the entire world. Yeah. She hasn't been given a platform to speak about it. And, mental health is something now that I feel like a lot of people dance around, but you can't just be going around calling people crazy or bipolar or schizophrenic without any base or foundation.
True. Well, I want to recommend that you guys check out Anthony's podcast. If you got the former housewives, the way that I do, and these women, they don't really have any contracts, right? So they can kind of just say what they want and give it to you straight. So if you're craving that authenticity the way I am, check out his show.
Oh, thank you, Grant. I appreciate the plug for sure.
I hope to do more with you. I'll be on the East Coast coming up at the beginning of November, so I'm hoping we can do something in person or hang out or something. But thank you for doing Grant's Rants.
Oh, for sure, Grant. And I just got to articulate the fact that I love your show so much. I know so many people do, and whenever I'm having a bad day or my family or friends, we turn on Grant's Rants. It's catharsis in its purest form.
Thank you. Well, it's serving that for me today, so
yeah.
All right. Well,
sure,
it's all good. I do feel better after doing the show, and another week begins, so we'll see. So I appreciate you very much for doing the show, and we'll be back, as always, with more rants. Tell a friend about the show. Let's keep it going. I love you for listening, and we'll be back with plenty more rants to come.
This has been Grant's Rants. Support the rants on Patreon at patreon.com/Grant's Rants. Follow Grant on Twitter and Instagram at It's Grant's Rants. Cover art created by Howie Ronay. Voiceover by Aw Yeah! Original theme music by Alexander Arntzen. The Grant Michael Collection.